Hello friends, we are going to do today one of the very interesting topics in geomorphology. The application part, as I say, or this part which we can see in daily life examples. For example, where are the most beautiful valleys located? If you want to go for a picnic, if you want to go for a trekking, if you want to visit an very deep and dangerous place, which place you will prefer in India at least? You will either go to Western Ghats for trekking, or either you will go to the Himalayan region or any kind of a mountainous region for trekking. You won't go on the flat plains for trekking. What if you go to in the trekking, what do you see deep down? You see a river which is flowing very deep inside, because it flows through a deep valley. How is the valley sides? The valley sides are very steep. Generally, after we go to trekking, what do we like to bathe into? We like some waterfalls, some kind of a beautiful place where the water is coming from a great height, it is falling, that is an waterfall. These are also the places, for example, a famous TV series either on National Geographic or Discovery, I exactly don't remember, are the most dangerous roads in the world. So all this you have, all are this roads, this series, movies which are shot, waterfalls which are shown, this all have one common thing, that they are formed by the riverine landforms, and these are the places of tourist interest, these are the places of director's interest, producer's interest, cameraman's fantasies, that is, these are the most beautiful places on the earth. On the other hand, come to the flat plain. Are they not beautiful enough? Where is the Royal Bengal tiger found? In which region? In the Sundarbans region. Now what is it? Is it on the delta of Ganga and Brahmaputra? That is the Indo-Gangetic delta. So obviously it is also one kind of a tourist interest. Why is Varanasi, why is Allahabad, why is Rishikesh famous for? These are all pilgrimage centers. That is where there are beautiful temples. Obviously some kind of a significance, that is why they are beautiful temples. For example, it may be a confluence of a great river, that is why our ancestors thought that we will protect that, we should protect that area, we should pray there, we should respect that area. Unfortunately, we have polluted those areas. Or Rishikesh, Haridwar Rishikesh, for example, where the river Ganga suddenly enters the plains, giving rise to such a great civilization, or we can say such a huge population. So in the previous lecture we did the different kind of life stages of a river. We also did what are the major landforms found in those stages, but we have not studied the landforms in detail, which we are going to do in this kind of a lecture. So the rivers which are flowing all over the world make very beautiful landforms, and in this topic we are going to study this landforms. But we are not going to study in the same manner, that is youthful, mature and old age. We are going to have just a little bit different perspective, that is the landforms either made by river erosion, Himalayas, Western Ghats, the landforms either made by river deposition, entire plain of India, the delta of India, and we are going to study important landforms both for preliminary point of view, for the mains point of view. For example, what is V-shaped valley? What do you mean by delta? Right from the start to the end, and the landforms in between, that is waterfall, that is alluvial fan, levees, meanders, oxbow lakes, etc. The different kind of landforms which are formed due to the river. So the river in the process of erosion gives rise to numerous landforms. The landforms, before we study the landforms, what are the rivers? And the rivers is anything which goes on the surface. Where does the river flow? Underground, on the ground? Obviously on the surface of the earth. So anything that flows from a height to a lower height, from, you can say, higher gradient to a lower gradient, more or less uniformly is known as river. So, but even during the rainfall, if there is a very heavy rainfall, generally in Indian cities also and anywhere in India, we will see the water which is flowing on the surface. Is it a river? Can you call it as a river? If there is a sudden rainfall in your locality also, that in India generally the drainage system are so good that they overflow very fast. So you will see the entire drainage system or entire water which is flowing on the surface. Is that a river? Obviously not. So that means initially first when the water flows on the surface, surface of earth, when the water flows on the surface of the earth, it is known as surface runoff. When water flows below the surface of the earth, it is known as an groundwater. So what is a surface runoff? Any kind of an flow of water on the surface of the earth is a surface runoff. But when the surface runoff is of greater dimension and flows from a height down the slope, it is known as a stream or a river. It is known as stream or river. So that means the stream or a river is an kind of a surface runoff, or it is a surface runoff but of a much greater dimension, much regularity, flowing from a height down towards the slope is a stream or surface runoff. A stream or a river. Now, how are there same kind of rivers all over in India itself, on the surface of the earth? Are the rivers of same kind? Are the Himalayan river system same as the river system of Western Ghat, or the Western Ghat river system is same as the river system of Rajasthan or Haryana region? Just use your imagination. Western Ghat region, heavy rainfall, rivers originate, but what is the season of a rainfall? That is only during the monsoon season. What happens during the dry season? What happens to the Vidarbha region of Maharashtra? What happens to the Telangana region of, now the Telangana state itself? What happens to the entire central part of India? There is too much heat, no rainfall except for the 4 months of the year. That means the rivers which are originating there, they are flowing through a area when there is no rainfall. So these rivers get most of their water during the rainy season, but after the rainy season there is no water. Human population is increasing obviously, and therefore there is a more demand for water which the river cannot meet, and obviously this river becomes dry sometimes. The mighty river of peninsular India, Godavari, is like a dry valley during the summer months. Come to the Rajasthan region, desert region, obviously very less rainfall. But there is a rainfall. So whenever the rainfall occurs seasonally, or we can say only during the precipitation, only during the rainfall, water flows like a river. But the water is so less generally that it does not go and meet the sea. It dries somewhere in between before meeting the sea. Come to the Himalayan region. Himalayan region receives fairly moderate rainfall, not as high as Western Ghats, but obviously higher rainfall. So the rivers there receive high rainfall. There is a flooding of the river during the summer season. There is heavy water. These rivers are full of water during the rainy season, during the winter season. Come to the summer season, they do not get any rainfall. But so what happens? Is Ganga dry at Allahabad? Is Ganga dry at Varanasi? Is Ganga a dry river? Or are any of the Himalayan rivers dry rivers during the summer months, same like Godavari? During the summer months, the snow water melts and they are fed with the snow water. So as a result of this, they have water even during the summer months, they have water even during the rainy season, or even during the winter season also. But come to Godavari, no water during the dry summer season, heavy flood, heavy water during the rainy season. Come to Rajasthan, dry valleys most of the times of the year. This valley stops before reaching the sea, before meeting the Arabian Sea. That means these are very short streams. So that the rivers on the surface of the earth can be divided into 3 categories. Rivers are divided into 3 categories. perennial rivers, seasonal rivers. Perennial rivers, seasonal rivers, and ephemeral rivers. And the ephemeral river systems. What is a perennial river? Come take an example again. Remember your example of a Ganga. Has water throughout the year. That is, it is a permanent river. It does not depend on rainfall. That means it has water throughout the year. These are more like a permanent rivers. Are full of water all round the year. Why are they full of water all round the years? Because during the rainy season, they get rains. During dry summer season, there is a snow melt. There is a melting of the snow, and therefore they are fed with water. Example is Himalayan river system. The entire Himalayan river system are examples of a perennial river systems. Seasonal rivers depend only on the rainy season. There is no water or very less water during the dry seasons. So during summers, water is reduced or valley becomes dry. Example, Godavari, peninsular rivers. Ephemeral river, short rivers, inland rivers, very short-lived stream. Why short-lived stream? Because they only flow when there is a rainfall, when there is a precipitation. So what are these? This flow only during the precipitation. Or only for short duration. After precipitation. Examples are River Luni. Which state? Most important river of Rajasthan. River Gaggar, most important river of Haryana. Or the rivers in the northwestern part of India, not the Indus Punjab region, Haryana, Rajasthan and the northern Gujarat, that is the Rann of Kutch region. Generally these rivers are inland rivers because they do not meet the sea. They are generally inland river systems. That is, they do not go and meet the sea. So the rivers are classified into perennial, peninsular and ephemeral. This was just a background for the rivers. We have not yet come to the topic. But when you say perennial river system, important for preliminary point of view. Why does perennial river system? Then Himalayan river should come to your mind. Seasonal river system, then the peninsular river should come to your mind. Ephemeral river system, then the Rajasthan region, Rann of Kutch region of Gujarat should come to your mind. Does it have any impact on our living being, on our settlement? Or does it have any impact on agriculture? Yes. Which is the best agriculture region? The North Indian plains, the Punjab region. Why? Because heavily irrigated. Why irrigated? Because they have water throughout the year. If you built an irrigation, the farms are not irrigated, then during this dry summer season the farming does not become productive. Farmers suicides. Mostly ephemeral river system, not much help for irrigation. Why? What is government going to do for it? Interlinking of rivers. Why interlinking of the rivers? full rivers, gave the water to the dry rivers of the peninsular India. Why? Because these are the areas which are mostly populated. So bring the rivers which are flowing full of the capacity and divert the waters to the peninsular rivers. Topic we will go and do it in Indian geography. This is just for your critical thinking. Think on it. Now coming to the river landforms made by the rivers. We are going to study this topic in the erosional landforms and depositional landforms. That is the landforms which are made due to the erosion of a river, or the landforms which are made due to the deposition of a river system. So we are going to study this topic in two ways, that is the erosional landforms and the depositional landforms. Now, what are these erosional landforms coming that is due to erosion? In which area, which stage of a river the erosional landforms will be more dominant? In the youthful stage. The depositional landforms on other hand will be more dominant in the middle, that is the mature stage or old age. These are the two different kind of landforms. Now I am going to take, because generally in the preliminary point of view they ask you which of the following are the erosional landforms, which are the following are the depositional landforms, or even if the question comes in the mains examination, explain the landforms made by river, you can write in this way. So this is just one of the perspective of writing the mains exam answer. If you are comfortable, you can write in the landforms during the youthful stage, during the mature stage, during the old age. Use this lecture with the previous lecture. That is, when I say river valley, yes, what kind of a river landform? It is an erosional landform. V-shaped valleys during the youthful stage, U-shaped valleys during the mature stage. So don't try to interlink. But in the examination, if they ask you V-shaped valleys, then only the youthful stage. So coming with this, we'll first do the erosional landforms. What are the different kind of erosional landform? The most important is river valley. River valley is the most important kind of an erosional landform. It is associated with the youthful stage. It is associated with youthful stage, which results into formation of an V-shaped valleys. Which results into formation of V-shaped valley. This V-shaped valley, why it is formed? These are formed due to the process of due to which kind of a process? Vertical erosion, due to vertical erosion. Due to vertical erosion by a mechanism of porthole drilling. What is the characteristics of these valleys? These are very, very deep valleys. What is a porthole drilling? If I want to dig a deep hole in this wall, what will I use? I will use the drilling machine, the machine which generally is used, and drill a deep hole in the wall. So same thing is happening on the surface of the earth. The surface of the earth, we are learning many things from this earth surface. The rocks which are formed at the bottom of a river, they swirl on the floor, make deep holes. These holes are then enlarged over the period of time to form deep V-shaped valleys. But in the mature stage, these V-shaped valleys are over the period of time converted into flat and broad U-shaped valleys. In the mature stage, they are converted into flat and broad U-shaped valleys. Which are U-shaped valleys. Why are they converted into flat and broad U-shaped valleys? Why? Because of the mechanism of lateral erosion and deposition. So these are the one of the major feature. How are they converted? Because of lateral erosion and deposition. They are converted due to the process of lateral erosion and deposition. So the river valley is one of the first. They are associated with the youthful stage. Which kind of a river valley is associated? Only the V-shaped valley. What are these V-shaped valleys? These are due to vertical erosion by the mechanism of porthole drilling. What is the mechanism of a porthole drilling? Same like using a drilling machine in the wall. The rocks also swirl around the beds and they dig deep holes, and over the period of time these holes goes on increasing. Now what is the characteristics of this V-shaped valleys? Very deep valleys having extremely steep sides. Why? Because the only dominant process here is vertical erosion. On the other hand, as the life cycle of a river continues, these V-shaped valleys are then converted into U-shaped valleys. By which process? By lateral erosion and deposition. Now continuing this V-shaped valleys, we are doing the river valleys. Continuing this V-shaped valleys, they are known as, these V-shaped valleys are either known as gorge, that is the river gorges, and canyons. Are known as river gorge Now what are these gorge and canyons? Very, very deep valleys having extremely steep sides are known as gorge or canyons. So this very deep valleys having steep wall-like sides are known as gorge or canyon. Why are they formed? They are formed due to, again V-shaped valleys, why they are formed? They are formed due to vertical erosion. So formed due to vertical erosion. By a mechanism of obviously porthole drilling. Now where are these gorge or canyons found? These are formed due to again active down cutting. Vertical erosion will lead to active down cutting. Associated with youthful stage of a river. Associated with the youthful stage of a river. Very deep valley sides having Wall-like sides formed due to vertical erosion, active downcutting associated with the youthful stage of erosion are known as an river gorges. These are so deep that generally many times the floor is not seen. Now what is the word canyon means? What does the word canyon means? Canyon means extended form of a gorge. What do you mean by extended form of a gorge? That is extremely deep, deeper than the normal gorge, very, very deep, so deep that generally the floor also cannot be seen by a naked eye is known as an canyon. Generally are found in arid and semi-arid regions. Why? Because the erosive power is high in the arid and semi-arid region, as there is a lack of vegetation in the arid and semi-arid region. So the bare rocks are directly exposed and results into formation of a deep canyons. 127 Hours, the movie, you remember? What happens in that movie? The person is stuck deep inside the canyon that he fights for the survival. He slips deep inside the canyon and gets stuck over there. What is that canyon? That canyon was a part of a Grand Canyon, of a part of a Colorado River system where the shooting was done, of USA. So an extended form of a gorge, a very deep and extended form of gorge is known as canyon, associated with arid and semi-arid regions. Arid and semi-arid regions. They are associated with the arid and the semi-arid region. And very deep and extended form of a gorge generally seen in arid and semi-arid regions is known as gorge. Now coming to the question, which rivers will be forming great gorges or canyons? Himalayan river or Peninsular river? Youthful stage, which rivers are there? Himalayan rivers are in youthful stage because they flow through the youthful topography. Youthful topography means mountainous regions. So the Himalayan rivers there are numerous gorges and canyons in the Himalayan rivers. Too much gorges. In fact, one of the deepest gorge in India is the gorge made by Indus river system in the Nanga Parbat. That is the Himalayan mountain system. So the example in India is Indus Gorge, when Indus cuts through the Nanga Parbat mountains. When Indus cuts to the Nanga Parbat mountain. The second example in the world, one of the most famous example in the world is Grand Canyon region. 127 Hours movie, you remember. So the example is Grand Canyon. On which river system? On River Colorado. In which state? Arizona state of US. In the Arizona state of United States of America. So one of the best examples is Grand Canyon in Arizona on the United States of America. So the river valleys we have finished. This is the first erosional kind of a landform, that is the river valleys. Now the second erosional landform is the sudden jump in the river. The second kind of an erosional landform is waterfall, rapids or cataracts. If you are going through Mumbai-Pune Express Highway, or if you are during the rainy season, if you are going through Himalayan regions in the rainy season or northeast mountainous regions in the rainy season, you will see numerous waterfalls coming down only during the rainy season. But on the other hand, if you are going through Madhya Pradesh, you will find the largest waterfall in India, that is the Dhuandhar Falls. What do you mean by Dhuandhar? Smoky. Why smoky? Because the water falls with such a great volume that it looks as if it is covered by smoke. That is because the water again is water after jumping, it is thrown in different directions, so it looks as if it is covered by smoke. So the second kind of an erosional landform is waterfall. What is a waterfall then? Waterfall is a sudden jump or break. It is a sudden jump by obviously river from a greater height to a lower height. You will jump from a greater height to a lower height. Or in the geographical terms, we say that it is a break in the longitudinal profile of a river. It is a break in the longitudinal profile of a river. Why it is known as a break in the longitudinal profile? It is known as because if we see the profile of a river, if you remember the diagram of a previous lecture, youthful stage, mature stage, and then the old age, and then obviously the river will go into the sea. Now if there is a waterfall, it will be shown like this profile, jumping. So isn't these two are the breaks? That is, there is a sudden jump in this region and sudden jump in this region. So the sudden jump or a break in the longitudinal profile of a river is known as a waterfall. Now there are obviously numerous kinds of an waterfall. The waterfalls of a smaller dimensions, which are smaller waterfalls, while the waterfalls can be of a larger dimensions. That is, the Niagara Falls, the most famous waterfall. It is the dream of everyone to go and visit the Niagara Falls in USA. That is the waterfalls of a greater dimensions. So waterfalls of smaller dimensions are known as rapids. The waterfalls of a greater or larger dimensions are known as cataracts. So what are the rapids? These are the waterfalls of smaller dimensions. While what are these cataracts? These are waterfalls of greater dimensions. Or larger dimensions. Waterfalls of larger or greater dimensions and waterfalls of smaller dimensions. These are the two differentiations of waterfalls. Now what are the reasons of the waterfall? There can be various reasons of a waterfall. Sometimes the waterfall is also found in the mature topography, when the river jumps from a plateau to the plain region. Sometimes the waterfall is found in the glaciated regions. Sometimes the waterfall is found in the area which has undergone rejuvenation, that is again in the older age, which has suddenly become younger. Why it is younger? It will do it as a separate topic after this topic, that is the river rejuvenation and river capture, two small topics. I have not taken it earlier because you should know the landforms first, then you will understand the landforms associated with these two. So what are the causes of the waterfall? There are numerous causes of a waterfall. Now the first cause is in the youthful region or in the mountainous region, when the erosive power of the river is greater. In this region, suppose this is a rock. Now it consists of an hard rock, it will consist of a soft rock, hard rock, and maybe a softer rock. Now consider this red color rock as a softer rock. Softer rock, again, softer rock can be, and rock, it can be any kind of a rock which has less resistance to erosion than the harder rock. So in hard rock, soft rock, hard rock, soft rock, and hard rock. Now because the water is flowing over this hard rock and soft rock, over the period of time, the softer rock will be eroded much greater than the harder rock. So the topography may look like this. Because the softer rock has been greatly eroded as compared to the harder rock surface. Obviously, because the water again is coming with a greater height, this rock will be eroded, but the softer rock will be eroded more as compared to the harder rock. As a result of this, the water which is here will jump downwards, resulting into formation of an waterfall. It will flow, again jump downwards, resulting into formation of a waterfall. So one of the first reasons for the formation of a waterfall is unequal resistance of hard and soft rock, or we can say differential resistance of a different kind of an rocks. So the first reason for the formation is due to unequal resistance of different rocks. Due to the unequal resistance of different rocks. As we have done the unequal resistance of an hard and soft rock. Now remember your endogenetic lectures. Two kinds of a system, two kinds of a structure. Due to faulting, there is a formation of a block mountain and a rift valley. And if a river is flowing through this block mountain, it will fall in the waterfall, it will fall in the rift valley, it will jump in the rift valley because it is at a lower height, resulting into formation of what? Again, an waterfall. That is, the second reason is due to fractures and due to faults. Very simple to understand. Due to faulting, rift valley, block mountains, river which flows over the block mountains falls on the rift valley, making an waterfall. The second reason is due to faults and fracture. On Earth's crust. Due to the fault and the fracture on the crust of the Earth. This is the second reason for the formation of an waterfall. Now, where will this? Obviously, there is an example of such kind of an waterfall, that is the waterfall due to faults and fracture. The greatest example is river. Victoria Falls on the Zambezi River is an example of such kind of an waterfall. On the river Zambezi, between Zambia and Zimbabwe. Obviously, which continent? African continent. One of the largest, not largest, one of the largest waterfalls in Africa. That is, there is so much, it falls for a depth of 360 feet from the surface. It is due to faulting and fractures. So Victoria Falls on river Zambezi between Zambia and Zimbabwe is the another reason for an waterfall. Now, what is a plateau? Plateau is a table-like flat surface. It is a flat surface but having steep sides. That is why we call it as a tableland or table-like platform. What is a plain? flat surface at a lower height, generally near the sea level. So a flat surface at a lower height and a flat surface at an higher height, having steep side. So when a river which originates in the mountainous region, it flows over a plateau, and when it will come to the plain, it will obviously jump, resulting into formation of a waterfall. So the third example is when the water falls from plateau towards the plain regions of India, that is, or anywhere in the world. When the water comes down from the plateau to the plains. In India, Kaveri river originates in the Western Ghats, it flows through the Karnataka region, and then it suddenly comes down, making a waterfall before going and entering the Bay of Bengal. So kind of an waterfall, that is, this is an example of a peninsular plateau. And this is an example of a plain region. So the third reason for waterfall is when the river jumps from plateau to the plains, plains. Now this is an example. What I have given is the peninsular plateau region, Karnataka region, Tamil Nadu plain region, or even some parts of Karnataka, when the river Kaveri flows through the peninsular plateau and it jumps in the Tamil Nadu plain, making an waterfall. That is when the river jumps from plateau to the plain. This example is Shivasamudram Falls. Example is in Shivasamudram Falls of Karnataka, Mandya district of Karnataka. Why it was famous? Because it was having the first hydroelectric power in Asia. Not only in India, in the Asia, this was the first hydroelectric power station in Asia. There's just some of the facts, and I will keep on giving you while doing the geography some important facts. So Shivasamudram Falls on the river Kaveri. When the river jumps from Karnataka plateau region to the Tamil Nadu plains region in the Mandya district of Karnataka is an example of a third kind of an waterfall. Why it was very, very famous? It is obviously very beautiful waterfall, but you also remember that the first hydroelectric power plant in Asia was on this kind of on this river system. The second example is of such kind of an waterfall is Livingstone Falls. Livingstone Falls. Livingstone Falls on river Congo. On river Congo in Africa. Now he was the same person who discovered the Victoria Falls, but in the honor of the Queen Victoria, the Queen of England, he named the falls as an Victoria Falls, while the Congo River's falls are known as a Livingstone Falls when the river jumps from plateau. So you remember Victoria Falls on river Zambezi and the Livingstone Falls on the river Congo. Open your atlas. check out the locations. This is how you will finish most of the world geography before we will even come to the world geography, so that your study gets less and less burdensome. Then the third is, then the fourth reason is, the fourth reason is, you know that land is never stable. Land gets uplifted or it is downfolded. Now during the formation of the Himalayas, obviously during the formation of the Himalayas, the land got uplifted and resulting into formation of a young fold mountains. One of the side effect was, even the land in the Chota Nagpur plateau region, that is around the Ranchi region, around the Jharkhand region, around the Chhattisgarh region, this also got uplifted. So the Ranchi plateau is due to the upliftment. Why this upliftment? Due to side effect of the Himalayan upliftment. So the land, even in such land, the rivers which were flowing, they now make waterfalls. So the fourth reason is due to the upliftment of the land. Due to an upliftment of the land. Due to upliftment of an land. Example of this kind of an waterfall is Hundru Falls. On Subarnarekha river. On Subarnarekha river. Jog Falls. The highest waterfall in India on river Sharavati. On river Sharavati. These are the examples of, on the western coast of India, these are due to the upliftment of the lands. Now the fifth reason for the formation of an waterfall is the fifth type of waterfall is Nick Point Falls. Nick Point Falls. Formed due to river, associated with river rejuvenation. They are associated with river rejuvenation. That is making an river young again. Now what is the river rejuvenation? What are this kind of a river rejuvenation? We will do it as a separate topic. So we can say, refer this lecture for it. We are doing what? This is a separate topic, river rejuvenation. And the last example, one of the reasons here, for example here, Dhuandhar Falls. One of the largest waterfalls in India is an example of an river rejuvenation. Dhuandhar Falls or Marble Rock Falls. On river Narmada. In the Jabalpur district Madhya Pradesh are the examples of a Dhuandhar Fall. Remember the Sarfarosh movie, the famous song Dhuandhar Falls. So the Dhuandhar Falls are One of the again largest waterfalls in India, an example of a due to river rejuvenation. See, the waterfall, same waterfall may be due to different kind of a geomorphic process also. But we are taking just an example. Now what you remember here is the falls and the location, especially regarding to the India. I am doing very important falls, while in the attachment you will find the list of the waterfalls as per there. That is the top waterfalls in world, top waterfalls in India. And one of the last reason for the waterfall is Hanging Valley Falls. Hanging Valley Falls. Now what is this Hanging Valley Falls? We have not done this topic. In the glacier regions, in the glaciated regions, ice or snow is much more powerful agent of erosion because of it being a solid, rock solid. It is just on surface as an agent. On the other hand, water being fluid, it is comparatively less dominant agent of erosion in that particular locality. So when the glacier moves, glacier is river of a snow. So same like a river, it is having its own tributaries. There are tributary glaciers, there is a main glacier. Now this main glacier is a very big river of a snow which flows through a valley down the slope under the influence of a gravity, and during such times it erodes the valley floors at much greater depth as compared to the tributary glaciers. So the tributary glaciers join the main glacier from certain height. Such kind of valleys are known as hanging valleys. So hanging valley falls are associated with glaciated topography. When the ice melts, it becomes an waterfall. Common in New Zealand, common in Canada, common in glaciated regions of the world in the higher latitudes. See, if the movies are like Lord of the Rings, the movies are this kind of a category, you will see most of the valleys are examples of an hanging valley. So what are these hanging valley falls? Again, these are associated with the glaciated topography. These are associated with glaciated topography. When the main glacier, why are they formed? Because the main glacier erodes the valley erodes the valley more than the tributary glaciers. Resulting into tributary glacier joining from a higher height, resulting into hanging valley falls. So we will refer this topic in glaciated topography. Why are they known as hanging valley? Because they join from a higher height. Now see, the glacier is not as flexible as a river, therefore the glaciated valleys are U-shaped valleys. So V-shaped valleys associated with the youthful topography of a river, U-shaped valleys are associated with the glaciated topography. These are the different kind of waterfalls that we have done, the 6 different kind of waterfalls. Now, where will be this glaciated valley common or hanging valleys common? In Norway, in Sweden, in Canada, in New Zealand, that is in the higher latitudes they will be common all over the world. The third kind of topography are portholes or depressions on the The third kind of an erosional landforms are potholes. What are these potholes? Nothing but we have already done. These are the depressions on the bed of a river due to drilling mechanism, help in formation of an V-shaped valleys. These are the depressions on the river beds. They help in the formation of an V-shaped valleys. Now the next kind of a topography, erosional landform, is structural benches and river terraces. River terraces. What are the structural benches and river terraces? Commonly you must have seen a photography, a movie scene or a painting where the river is flowing and a person is sitting thinking on an kind of an elevated kind of a platform and the river flows in a valley. Such kind of a flat elevated platform is terrace. What is a terrace? You can enjoy the view, it is at a higher height. Such kind of an, even the geography, such kind of a flat platform where you can enjoy the view of a river is an terrace or a structural bench. Again it is associated with the river rejuvenation. What is a river rejuvenation? We are going to do it in the next topic. So such kind, what are the structural benches and elevated landforms? A step like flat bench, a landform. A step like flat bench on either side of a river. On either side of a river is an example of an structural bench. Is known as a structural bench. These are associated with river rejuvenation. These are associated with river rejuvenation. They are associated with river, making a new river again. As I told you, we are going to do this topic separately. How do this look like for a diagram? You can just have this look at a diagram. Now this is a V-shaped, U-shaped valleys. And if a river is flowing through this U-shaped valley, if the river erodes this valley further, how will it look like? The river will flow through it somewhat like this. If the valley is further eroded, if the valley is further eroded, it will look like this. So isn't this a flat landform here? Flat landform, as if it is somebody has made bench for sitting. So such kind of a landforms, that is this diagram you can draw for the structural benches in the examination for the reference. These are the structural benches or river terraces. Now why I said it is associated with river rejuvenation, that is rejuvenation means being young again, because when the river is young, it is having more erosive power. So the normal river becomes young, it erodes, resulting into formation of a valley inside the valley. It again erodes, resulting into formation of valley inside a valley, again one more valley inside a valley. Why? Because there is increase in the erosive power of a river during the abnormal times. Such process we call as a river rejuvenation. So the flat surface on either side of a river is known as a river terrace or the structural benches. Now these are the main kind of an erosional landforms. One more kind of an major kind of an erosional landform is the meander of a river. Before I go to the meander of a river, I missed that topic in the waterfall. Are the waterfalls of any kind of importance? Are the waterfalls of human importance? Do the waterfalls influence the settlement, or do they influence the economy? Just related to the waterfall topic, this what I am taking. I'm very sorry, I forgot to take it during that time. Waterfalls will influence an economy of a region. Will it influence the settlement of a region? What is one of the most economical importance of a waterfall? The most economical importance of a waterfall is they are the sites of hydroelectricity production. And these are the sites where you get cheap energy, that is electricity is an energy, and therefore cheap energy means high infrastructure, maybe high industrialization. Second is rivers also serve as a waterways or the highways on the water. That means they serve as a lines of communication. In fact, in the dense forest, rivers are only the lines of communication, only the means of communication. That means whenever there is a communication which develops, it results into integration of an area. And with integration comes development, and with development comes prosperity and growth. So that means obviously the rivers have such kind of an aspects. Now if there is a cheap hydroelectric potential, then if the hydroelectricity is produced, obviously there will be industrialization, and because of the industrialization there is a prosperity. Can you give me an example? What I refer to as Niagara Falls, our dream destination. These Niagara Falls are the part of Great Lakes of USA. These Great Lakes of USA are the glaciated lakes, and there are numerous waterfalls, that is the river flows through there. One more, USA slopes on the eastern side or towards the Atlantic Ocean, and as a result, because of some kind of a geomorphic process which we will do in regional geography, but just keep on thinking, that is due to the sloping of USA, there are numerous rivers which make the waterfall in United States of America, and as a result of this, there are series of waterfall. Because of the series of waterfall, this region is known as a fall line of USA. So just remember, for the preliminary point of view, what is the fall line of USA? Or what is a fall line? It is an imaginary line when the river goes from higher slope to the lower area, making a series of waterfall. Because of the geomorphic process in the USA, there are numerous waterfalls. That this is an Atlantic region, and this is the eastern USA. And as a result, numerous rivers here, they make series of waterfalls before going to the Atlantic region. And as a result of this, making series of waterfall, there is some kind of a development process. This is known as New England region, one of the most famous industrial region of USA. Why industrial region? Detroit, the automobile capital of the world. Akron, the rubber capital of the world. Philadelphia, the iron and steel capital of the world. All are located in these regions. Why? Because of too much of industrialization. Why industrialization? Obviously resources are available, but only resources do not suffice. Resources are there with India also, but we lack in energy. 8 hours, 9 hours, 12 hours blackout in the rural regions. It is only in the city regions, that too in some specific states, that we have an uninterrupted power supply. Obviously it will affect the economy. So one of the major reason for development of this region was a fall line of USA. In fact, the river Potomac. What is the fall line of USA? It is the series of waterfall. It is the sloping of eastern coast of USA towards the Atlantic Ocean. Towards the Atlantic Ocean. This is one of the highly industrialized region in the world. One of the important river is river Potomac here. Washington DC, the capital of USA, is located on this river, the Potomac river system. So if what is the fall line of USA, you should know, and which is the river on which Washington DC is situated is the Potomac river. Similarly, there is a series of, there are the series of cataracts. What are these cataracts? These are cataracts are, as I told you, they are waterfalls of larger dimensions. Now, this region, that is the Africa. Africa is blessed with what is the river here? It is the longest river in the world. It is River Nile. Now, River Nile flows through Africa. It is the longest river in the world. As I told you, longest the river, what is the blessing? Is the cheap communication network. That is, River Nile should serve as an means of communication right from the Mediterranean Sea region to the southern part of Africa. That is, right from the Mediterranean region to the savanna region, to the desert region, and the interiors of the Africa. And what is the location? See, imagine what is the location. West Asia, oil-rich countries, Mediterranean and Europe. So Suez Canal is located here. So all the ships from Europe can come and directly go to the Africa, resulting into economic prosperity of Africa. But is Africa America in the terms of economic property, or is it Europe in the terms of human development and economic prosperity? No, obviously not. One of the poor continents is Africa. Why? Because River Nile is not communicable. It cannot be used for communication. It cannot be used as a means of communication. It cannot be used for waterways. The reason being, there are 6 cataracts. On River Nile, which hinders navigation on the longest river in the world. On the longest river in the world. One of the famous cataract is on one of the famous cataract, that is a kind of an waterfall, as I told you, famous for HEP generation. So on the famous cataract is the Aswan Dam located. It is a dam in Egypt on River Nile. Its reservoir is known as Lake Nasser. Open your atlas, see this part of Africa, you will see a small line, that is Aswan Dam, where it is located on river Nile. In which country? In Egypt. What is Lake Nasser? So use this thing. So this is why one of the question can be why the river Nile cannot be used for navigation, because there are 6 cataracts on river Nile which hinders the navigation on the longest river in the world. And for the mains examination, interlink. That is, how is navigation important? Why are we focusing on the Ganga river? Why are we focusing on the use of Ganga as a means of transport? Is it positive? Is it negative? I will leave it on your critical thinking till the time we come to the economic geography. Now the next kind of an topic is again in the erosional landforms. Next topic, even in the erosional landforms, is we are doing the erosional landforms. And I told you, go to the waterfall because I missed something. In the erosional landforms, the next topic is the river meanders. What are these river meanders and why they are erosional landforms? Now the river meanders in each and every path. See, the river does not flow straight. The river always bends in its flow. One of the reasons is gravity. There are numerous reasons. There is a geology, there is a structural lithography of the rocks, resistance, speed and gravity. River even meanders in the youthful stage, but it is properly developed in the mature and best developed in the old age. But remember, it is an erosional landform. It is also kind of a depositional landform. How we will when we will study it in the meanders. So remember, river meandering is the bend in the rivers. In the longitudinal profile of a river, when the river bends or goes like a snake. Snake also cannot move straight. There are numerous reasons for meanders, and from where does this word river meander comes? The river meandering comes from the name of a river, Meander in Turkey. So what are these meanders? Meanders are bend in the rivers, or we can say river never flows straight. River never flows straight. River never flows straight. In fact, it bends in the flow of a river. The bends in the flow of a river. How are these bends? These are not straight. These are sinuous bends, or we can say the sinuous bends on the flow of a river are known as river meanders. The name is taken from the basis of highly meandering river Meander itself. It is in Turkey. There is a river Meander in Turkey on which this name has been taken. That means the sinuous bends or sine-like bends on the sine wave-like bends on the course of a river. In fact, you remember that meandering is both the result of erosion and deposition. Meandering is both. Erosion and deposition. Meandering is both the result of erosion as well as the deposition. Now, how it is the result of both erosion and deposition, or why we say that it is the result of both erosion and deposition? Now, what is a river meander? I hope you are clear. That is, the river never flows straight. It will always flow in a bend-like format. These bends in the river are known as a river meander. So the river you generally see, it will be flowing like this bend. So such bends in the river are known as river meanders. These are the river meanders, that is the bends in the flow of a river. Now, when we say it is a result of both erosion and deposition, how it is a result of both erosion and deposition? Now, look at a meander, or we'll look inside the meander to see how it is a result of both erosion and deposition. Now, suppose this is a meander. Inside the meander, water is coming this way and it is hitting this coast here. After hitting this part, obviously there is more and more erosion on this part. After that, water is turning and it is coming and hitting this part. I am saying you what happens inside the meanders. So inside the meanders, these two processes go on. That is, the water flow comes and it hits this part because of the flow. Because of hitting here, this part is eroded more. Now, when the water flows, obviously there is an undercurrent in water which is opposite to the flow of water. After hitting, when the water moves in direction, the undercurrent, the materials which are eroded here, they remove this material and they deposit this materials. The undercurrent in water, this deposit this materials here. So the eroded material which are present here due to the undercurrent which flows opposite to that is inside current, they take this eroded materials and they deposit it here. After that, the water again moves this way and it erodes this kind of an valley flow. So obviously there is more erosion and the eroded material are taken by the undercurrents and deposited in this part. The same thing will happen here. Again, water will move in this direction. After striking this part, it will be eroded more, and the undercurrent will carry this eroded material and deposit it here. So that is why we are saying that the meander is the result of both erosion and deposition. Why? Because this part, the blue part is getting eroded, this part is getting eroded, this part is getting eroded. On the other hand, the red color is getting deposited, the eroded material. Why? Because of an undercurrent. As a result of this, inside the meander, there is an erosion in this part. And in this part, while there is a deposition here, there is a deposition here and there is a deposition here. So these are the three regions where there are depositions. Why there is a deposition? Because of an undercurrent. So inside the meander there are two kinds of a slope. The eroded slope is known as river cliff, while the deposited slope is known as a slip of slope. Slip of slope. What is this? This is the river current, or what is this? This is the main river current which comes. And what is the red color line? This is an river undercurrent. So this is a flow of water, while this is undercurrent. I'll mark this because it becomes too messy there. It is undercurrent. So that means in a river meander there are two slopes. One is the river cliff, which is due to erosion. It will increase the meander, it will increase the curving of a meander in this direction, while the eroded material will be deposited here. It will increase this curve inside, while this will increase the curve outside. So the river cliff is the result of erosion, slip of slope is the result of deposition. That is why we say that meanders are an example of both erosional and depositional landforms. Now if we look at inside the river, inside the meander, in fact you draw these diagrams, just get these diagrams marked that there is a deposition here. Now if we take a cross section of this, how will this look like? Take this part, consider this part as a slip of slope. Well, this part is a river cliff. If the river is here, there is a deposition in this part. Why is this deposition? Because of the bottom current here, which brings the eroded material, while there is an erosion of this part, erosion of the other part. So it is a slip of slope. That means it is this kind of a slope. And this is river cliff. This is a river cliff. River cliff is result of erosion and the slip of slope is result of deposition. This is how it will look inside this. You just have a look of in a diagram. Why we say the meander is result of erosion and deposition. Erosion because it will keep on eroding. The flow of a current will keep on eroding. When the water after hitting turns here, the undercurrent here develops. Bottom current, it carries the shingle, it carries the sediments and deposit it on the other part. Again the river water comes, erodes this, bottom deposit sits here, bottom current, and same process goes on. It results into formation of a river cliff. This part is a river cliff and it results into formation of a slip of slope. This part is a slip of slope. So how are this river cliff and the slip of slopes? Or how is the river cliff? If you are standing here inside a meander, how does the river cliff look like? It is formed due to erosion. It is formed due to erosion. How does it look like? It is concave and steep side. Isn't it not like a cave here? Concave. It is concave and steep. On the other hand, gentle slope formed due to shingle deposition by bottom current. It is convex and gentle. It is convex and gentle side. While here this is slope is steep. So just have a look at a diagram. What is this? This is a bottom current. What is this? Lip of slope. Slip of slope. Have a look at the diagram here.